up just enough for this to one-hit KO after rocks. Yeah, I can take one of these, that's not a problem. This is a big boy. Oh! I didn't like seeing that, that's for sure. God, I should have thought of that beforehand.
Welcome to this week's Pokemon Battle Entei. Your host, Zache.
I think that new intro says just about everything it needs to. Hello everyone, welcome this week to my battle. This is Coach Zache of the Porygon-Zeds. I learned this week I'd been pronouncing my own name wrong. I'm going to jump right into my battle. This is against Dan and the Viridian Forest Entei. So, let's hop in. My initial thoughts against Dan's team were I am worried about Volcanion and I am worried about Entei. My team relies a lot on steel types, a lot on Virizion is a powerful grass type I use. And a lot of my fire counters are not really resist, but they're more ground types, so Volcanion doesn't help me. So Volcanion comes out first, not ideal. I U-turn out of there. I considered making the man's play and going for the Stone Edge, but I didn't want to mess with the RNG gods. So U-Gross, the Garchomp, comes out, immediately takes a Steam Eruption, immediately gets burned, and at this point he's done. He's useless. So I go for Rocks on this turn against the Tornadus. I know he's going to just defog them away, which will let me get another Pokemon for free and set up a little bit. So Garchomp is gone. Unfortunately, Garchomp was my original answer to Entei with high defense, high HP, rough skin, rocky helmet. I would have been able to take a lot of hits. Doesn't matter. I go into Celesteela. Knowing the defog is coming, I have this Celesteela set up with an offensive build, so I'm able to go for an Automatize. And then my plan is I'm hoping for the Heat Wave here. So, I Automatize, I become nimble, I'm up, I go ahead and I use the Iron Head, I'm able to do about 40% damage, and I get the Heat Wave I want. And the reason I wanted this Heat Wave is because I'm wearing a weakness policy. So, like I said, this is an offensively geared Celesteela. It's got enough attack EVs to pretty much one-hit KO everything on the team outside of Cresselia at +2. So I'm at +2 now. He goes into Volcanion, and this is a wonderful opportunity for me because this Volcanion was a huge problem for me. And I'm able to take it out in one Earthquake and get myself up to +3 attack. So Volcanion being gone opens up a lot of doors for me. Outside of Garchomp, who obviously was not a great Volcanion switch, I didn't really have a Volcanion switch. So Beast Boots comes out, Cresselia follows that. This is the one Pokemon I know can counter my Celesteela. A +3 Iron Head did less damage than I wanted it to do. And he's able to get Thunder Wave off on me, which essentially cripples me. I'm low speed. Even at a +2 speed, I still don't think I outspeed a Tornadus with speed investment. And so, one of my mistakes I made here is I should have gone for just another Iron Head and got off as much damage as I could, because I knew Cresselia wasn't going to do anything to kill me. Instead, I go for an Automatize, trying to preserve my speed, preserve my livelihood. And I learned that Unga Bunga is Scarfed, because he's able to outspeed me even at +4, even though I'm paralyzed. And so because he's Scarfed, the Automatize I had didn't mean anything. And an Iron Head, I think at +3 would have one-hit KO. It doesn't matter. I go into Destroyer of Worlds, Rocky Road, Togedemaru, and he's able to scare out Unga Bunga with that threatening demeanor, and he goes into George the Entei, the Pokemon I was second most afraid of this entire time, because Entei hits hard, Entei hits faster than a lot of my team, and Entei hits super effective on at least half of my team. Luckily, I have the greatest Entei counter in the world, Ouch My Tail, the Slowbro. And you'll see this Slowbro is a hero. It's incredible. It's the MVP of my world. So he takes a Sacred Fire, about as well as I take a Mosquito Bite, and he gets burned, which is actually convenient for me. It prevents Cresselia from using Thunder Wave on me. It prevents any of his Pokemon running Toxic. I'm not sure if they were, but they're unable to Toxic me. And I'm able to throw out a Toxic. The reason I didn't go for the Scald against Entei is because I knew he had Cradily sitting in the back, and I've seen him use it as a Water Absorb Cradily before, and so I figure Toxic is a very low-risk move for me to use. He has no Toxic Resist, he has no Toxic Immunities on his team, and it lets me wear them down, which, with my offensive juggernaut of a Celesteela out of the game, I've got to go to my plan B, which is going to be wear his team down. He goes back out to George, I slack off, which is just, it's a funny concept if you think about it. Just imagine in the middle of the battle, he's got his legendary beast, not a dog, hanging out in the middle, and some pink little chubby Winnie the Pooh looking dude is just like goofing around. I go for the Ice Beam. I'm not anticipating him to stay in against me. I think he was trying to draw Scalds out by continuously switching back and forth. Ice Beam is there to hit Cradily. I could have gone for the Toxic, but I figured he would go back into the Cradily, which is why I used the Ice Beam. But it doesn't matter. He's able to heal this damage off. I was originally planning on using an offensive Slowbro, more of a modest set with Calm Mind, but I went to a more traditional defensive, just kind of come in, take hits, deal out some Toxics, and really take hits. That's what it's able to do. So I know it's not going to be able to take Cresselia out. I might be able to one-on-one it if we want to spend the next 45 hours here. He goes into Foghorn. I go for another Ice Beam, anticipating Cradily again. Just knowing I'm not going to Scald until Cradily is out of the picture. It's not worth the damage. I wouldn't get that much damage off on anything. I'd maybe do 40% to Entei. And everything else, Ice Beam still hits pretty hard. Hits super effective on a couple of them. So, Foghorn takes the damage. Foghorn throws off a Hurricane, which I was worried at first, but it doesn't manage to kill me. Does manage to confuse me, which I didn't love, but thankfully Slowbro is confused as it is all the time, and he's able to ignore it. Not even running an own tempo or anything. So I get a Toxic off on Foghorn. I figure that's more important than throwing off another Ice Beam, which would just let him regenerate it. The Toxic is going to wear him down over time. And speaking of Regenerator, it is time for Ouch My Tail to come back to me, take back a third of his HP, and we go into McDonald's. I was expecting another Hurricane to come out. It does come out, but I avoid it. Sorry about that. I did want that to happen, obviously. If you could miss every single one of your Hurricanes, that'd be the best match in the world for me. But, that's not good. So, he switches out. I'm running Thunderbolt. Common stuff on Magearna. It does a decent amount of damage. This isn't a hugely powerful, this is more of a bulky Magearna set that I'm using. Like I said, my second game plan once Celesteela went south was to wear things out, weight them down. So I get the chip damage off and I get out of there because I know that Thunder Wave is coming out. And I take that Thunder Wave with my Lightning Rod, Togedemaru. So there's my second pivot with the little devil himself. And he's able to take that. And what his role here anymore is when there's a Pokemon that has Toxic, I'm going to Fake Out, I'm going to Spiky Shield, and I'm going to take as much damage on those as I can without taking any damage myself. So I go right for that. And of course, Emperor of the Universe himself, Togedemaru, gets a critical hit on the Fake Out. It's my first crit of the entire match. Maybe it does 2 damage instead of 1 damage to Cradily, but my stalling plan works perfectly. I'm able to boost it to 3 turns of Toxic because of the switch. He gets up Stealth Rock, doesn't go for an attack. I'm not concerned about Stealth Rock. My team takes Stealth Rock well. Half my team resists Stealth Rock. The other ones have Regenerator and can just shrug off Stealth Rock. So I go back into Magearna, who can take any move that Cradily can throw at me. He hits me with the Stone Edge, kind of. Like, technically it does connect, technically it does do damage, but it's really not effective enough to cause much of a concern. And I'm able to fire off pretty much any attack I have. So he's going to go ahead and withdraw, and he sends out Sandbag. But no one on his team takes a Flare Cannon well. Entei would take it the best, and Entei doesn't take the Flare Cannon well, especially because Entei lacks recovery. So Sandbag was definitely the right switch. Still doesn't take it well. Puts me at -2. It's going to be able to Moonlight this right off, though, and I'm, again, going to switch out, trying to avoid the Thunder Wave. But he goes ahead, switches out first. He sends out George, and I know I'm trying to get out, get rid of the Thunder Wave. I switch out as well. And I guess I must have anticipated George coming out, because I get to go into Ouch My Tail. George's best buddy. A little smile on his face. He just wants to have fun. Entei's staring him down so serious, and he's just like, hey man, I love Slowbro. So yeah, George knows he can't do anything to me. He gets out before I can hit him with a Scald, hit him with a Toxic, anything like that. But I throw a Toxic off. I'm gonna hit Unga Bunga with it. Nope, I'm not. That's later. I did that the last time too. So my last commentary I had to redo, because I was doing it on GarageBand on my phone, and there's a time limit on GarageBand, and apparently this is the longest battle in the world. So I forgot that last time. And then he goes for an Outrage, which, unfortunately for him, doesn't kill me. Max defense investment. I'm able to get off the Toxic, and Outrage against my team is bad. I don't want to discourage anyone from using it in the future, because I like when you guys use Outrage against me, because I have Magearna. Magearna is the easiest Outrage switch-in the world. You're guaranteed to go for a couple of turns. I'm immune to it, and I have the most powerful fairy move in the game. So generally, Pokemon using Outrage don't like Flare Cannon, and you give me a free switch-in to fire off a Flare Cannon on anything I want. So I don't get it off on Unga Bunga like I wanted to. I do get it off on U Up, who manages to take it, but not very well. And after Poison, even at -2, I'm going to be able to take out U Up with a second hit with Flare Cannon. And so that racks up my next kill. So at this point, I like where my game plan is. Everyone's getting worn down the way I want them to get worn down. My team is staying relatively healthy, and I also have the contingency in the back of my Mienshao is faster than everyone on his team, not named a speed investment Tornadus, and it can hit everything either super effective with something, either Stone Edge or U-turn, or High Jump Kick pretty much wallops his team. Mienshao's a lot stronger than we give it credit for. It's got 125 base attack, so they can do some damage. So when Tornadus comes out against a Steel Pokemon, I'm anticipating the Heat Wave, so I'm going to go right into my Fire Resist, which is Ouch My Tail. And he's able to take it, and then I'll switch out, again, anticipating the Hurricane, and I go into my Hurricane Resist, which is Rocky Road. It's going to pop his Air Balloon, but at this point I'm not worried about any ground moves. I actually avoid the Hurricane, though, so that's 2 missed Hurricanes, which is, again, I don't hate it for me, but I hate it for the sake of sportsmanship. And Rocky Road's able to do exactly what he's meant to do, which is flinch you turn 1, protect you turn 2, and then get the hell out of there turn 3. So there's the flinch. Strike 1, strike 2 with the spiky shield. He goes for Heat Wave, which honestly on Togedemaru, pretty much anything, like if you blow hot air on him, it'll be super effective. He's not comfortable with that. And here's where I find out that Dan was using an HP invested Tornadus rather than a speed invested Tornadus, which explains why my Ice Beam did so little damage and why my Togedemaru is able to outspeed it. Which gets Togedemaru the kill on Tornadus. Not something I was expecting. I was actually expecting, I had calced that turn before and I could take a Heat Wave, so I was expecting to come in and take, I don't know, 80% damage from the Heat Wave and then be able to get the kill or something like that, but I actually get the kill early and preserve it with full health, which helps me later on. Let's see, speeding ahead, George comes out, which means Ouch My Tail comes out. That's going to be a switch every time until the end of all days. And so he goes into Unga Bunga. Whenever George is out, I know that he can't do anything to me. I know that I have a free Slack Off, so I go ahead and go for it. I gave up on trying to Toxic him because I knew he was going to switch out, and Slack Off's just a better move. The higher health I can keep myself out, the better. Especially against Unga Bunga, who's the Pokemon who's able to hit me the hardest of anyone on this team, which he goes ahead and I let him get off a Fusion Bolt this turn. That's a move I always forget the name. I can never remember the name of Fusion Bolt. He goes ahead, gets off Fusion Bolt. Cool move, but I'm max defense investment, and I don't know, I kind of shrug it off for being a base, whatever, 100 power move. I guess it's not stab for Huron Black. But I get an Ice Beam off, which is good damage. It is a critical hit, and it helps my plan. And here's where I made a slight slip of the mind. I go into Togedemaru, who can absorb any electric-type move. However, the ability Terra Volt makes it so my ability doesn't matter. So I still take the Fusion Bolt, but I take it at 4 times resistance. So it's... or no, it's just 2 times resistance. Regardless, I resist it, and I'm able to live. And this is where killing that Tornadus really came in handy for me, because if I had not lived, or if I had taken the Heat Wave and still killed it, I wouldn't have had the HP to survive that hit. So because I'm able to hit that, I'm able to kill him with the Fake Out, making him the 2 KO leader, I believe. George comes out. I go ahead and Spiky Shield just to scout and see what he's doing. Maybe he'll use a Sacred Fire and Extreme Speed to try to get some damage off of me. He goes for Overhead, or Overheat. Really. The smart move. It's good. And so I switch out. I just kind of burn a turn there. Didn't hurt me, didn't gain me anything. I was kind of checking to see if he was choiced as well. I still don't know at this point whether he's choiced or not. He played it very well, very specifically. But I come out, I can take any damage, and in my head, I think he's choiced. And so at this point, I'm expecting another Overheat. He goes for Extreme Speed, shows me that he's not choiced. But I'm able to Slack Off. He can't hurt me with anything. My fluffy pink... What is Slowbro? Is he a bear? I imagine his skin feels kind of like a seal, like kind of leathery like that. Would be my guess. But he's got those bear-like features. So, now I'm free to use Scald. And I go for my first Scald of the game. And I get the KO and Sandbag. And at this point, the game is over, but I'm just going to avoid any critical hits I can, anything important I can. I've got 4 Pokemon I'm able to sack to guarantee the kill. I don't need him coming in here getting like a critical hit with Extreme Speed or a critical hit with something and taking me out and then taking out the rest of my team. So I let him get off the Overheat, so I know he can't kill me with that. And then I'm actually going to cycle out. See, there's the critical hit I was afraid of. I'm going to get off the Scald, and then after this turn, rather than let him go for a move and I get my own critical hit, lucky for us. Rather than let him go for a free move that could potentially crit me and live, I go ahead and I switch out to Magearna, which would seem like a bad switch, but I had a contingency plan. And so he goes for a second Overheat, I'm using an Aka Berry, so this does just about no damage to me. Especially because he was already at low special attack. But now my Slowbro is at enough health where he can take another 15 or 16 hits from Entei and not worry about them at all. So he goes for the Sacred Fire. It's not going to hurt me. I'm going to be able to use Scald. Or, you know what? I might be an asshole here. I might slack off just to make sure I'm at max HP. No, he goes for Overheat. We both know the game is over here. I go for Scald to finish it, and that's what does it. So, yeah, George goes down. I wish I had tried to count a couple stats. There's no way Slowbro is not one of the best performers this week. He single-handedly really, he kept Dan's team under control the whole time. And the only missed play I would say that happened with Dan is running Outrage, just because I have a Magearna. But Slowbro was able to keep Dan from gaining any momentum, gaining any control over a match where I really thought I didn't have much of a chance. I thought I was going to be fighting an uphill battle the entire time because two of my best OU Pokemon are both Steel types against two of his incredibly powerful Fire types. So, shout out to Slowbro, shout out to Dan for... Honestly, this has got to be one of the... That's a great battle. That's just a good battle. If you don't like that, you don't like PBL Pokemon. This is Pokemon Coach Zache signing off.